In 1932, Australia went to war. Not against Germany. Not against Japan. Against birds. 20,000 of them. The army brought machine guns. The birds brought attitude. And the birds won. Stay with me, because the real story is even weirder than you think. Picture this: Australia, 1932. World War I veterans had finally come home. They dreamed of peace, growing wheat, raising kids, and forgetting the horrors of battle. But fate had a sense of humor. Their new enemy wasn't German or Turkish. Their new enemy was birds. 20,000 giant, hungry, and surprisingly clever emus had decided that wheat fields were their personal all-you-can-eat buffet. Farmers in Western Australia were losing their minds. Their wheat crops were vanishing into thin air, or rather, into very thick bird stomachs. Emus trampled fields, tore up the ground, and looked incredibly pleased with themselves while doing it. The farmers begged the government for help. And the government said, "We'll send the army." The army. Against birds. This already sounds like the start of a bad joke. Australia's Minister of Defence personally approved the operation. He said the army would handle the birds in just a few days, with the confidence of a man who had clearly never met an emu. Veterans loaded their guns, boarded trucks, and headed into battle. They were ready for anything. Except, of course, birds that could outsmart them. In October 1932, the soldiers marched onto the battlefield. They had 2 Lewis machine guns, a truck full of ammunition, and absolute confidence. They spotted a flock of emus and opened fire. The birds looked at them, blinked, and ran away. At 50 kilometers an hour. The soldiers kept shooting. The emus kept running. The soldiers shot some more. The emus were already gone. The first attack was a complete disaster. The soldiers didn't kill a single bird. They shot at clouds of dust while the emus disappeared over the horizon. The commander said, "They're too fast." His soldiers nodded as if this was some profound military discovery. Who would have thought that birds running at highway speed would be hard to hit? The next day, the military came up with a brilliant plan. They'd ambush the emus at a watering hole. They waited for 3 hours. The emus arrived. The soldiers opened fire. The birds heard the machine guns and scattered in every direction. Total kill count for the entire day, 6 emus. 6. Out of 20,000. That's about 0.03%. The soldiers were frustrated. They had fought in Gallipoli, survived the desert, and stared death in the face. But they were not prepared for birds that would laugh at them. And the emus were definitely laughing. They stood in the distance, watching the soldiers, almost as if they were grinning. If birds had shoulders, they would have shrugged. The farmers were furious. They'd asked for help and gotten a circus. Soldiers chasing birds across the desert. Trucks, guns, smoke, noise. And 0 dead emus. The farmers demanded explanations. But the army had none. How do you explain that you can't defeat a bird? It's like saying, "I lost to a chicken." Embarrassing. The army chased the emus for weeks. Soldiers rode in trucks, tracking the flocks. The birds ran. The soldiers shot. The birds ran faster. In the end, the army managed to kill about 200 birds. That sounds decent, right? But it took weeks, 2 machine guns, and 20 soldiers to kill 200 birds. That's roughly 10 birds per soldier. Over a month. A month. The newspapers had a field day. "Australia's army loses to birds," the headlines screamed. Reporters couldn't believe their eyes. "Soldiers shoot, birds run. Soldiers tire, birds laugh," they wrote. The government went red. The defense minister said, "The operation continues." But everyone already knew the truth. The birds seemed to enjoy the show. They showed up where they weren't expected. They destroyed crops and vanished. The soldiers returned to camp tired, angry, and empty-handed. One soldier said, "I survived Gallipoli, but these birds are scarier than Turkish bullets." And he wasn't joking. By December 1932, the military gave up. They packed their machine guns and left. The government announced, "Operation complete." The final score: the army killed about 250 emus. The emus destroyed the same number of crops. The war ended in a tie. But everyone knew who the real winner was. The emus stood on the battlefield and, it seemed, were celebrating their victory. The farmers were left alone. They built fences. The birds jumped over them. They put up scarecrows. The birds sat on them. They yelled. The birds yelled back. It was a real-life battle between man and nature. And nature was definitely winning. The legend of the Great Emu War grew with time. It became a story told in pubs, schools, and even overseas. Americans couldn't believe it. "Your army fought birds?" they asked. Australians blushed and said, "It was a strange war." These days, it's a source of laughter, and a reminder that sometimes, nature just has a better sense of humor. But here's the most hilarious twist. Some historians believe the whole war was just a distraction. The government needed farmers to stop complaining about the economic crisis. So they gave them a show: the army, machine guns, and birds. It worked. Everyone laughed at the birds and forgot about the crisis. If that's true, the government is way smarter than we thought. And the best part? The emus didn't even realize they were part of a political performance. They just kept eating, running, and multiplying. It was just another Tuesday for them. For Australia, it was the strangest chapter in their history. And the emus still outnumber the people. They're probably still laughing. Here's another fun fact. The emu is now a national symbol of Australian humor. You'll find souvenirs, cartoons, even jokes about the war. It's the kind of story that reminds you not to take life, or yourself, too seriously. After all, how can you feel important after losing to a bird? So what's the real lesson here? Maybe that humans aren't always as smart as we think. We build empires, invent weapons, and send armies into battle. But sometimes, a bird just knows better. The emu teaches us humility. And they do it with style and feathers. Today, Australia doesn't talk about the Emu War with shame. They talk about it with a smile. It's become a beloved piece of national folklore, proof that even nations need to laugh at themselves sometimes. And honestly, isn't that a sign of greatness? To be able to laugh at your own failures? So next time you see a bird, especially a tall one, remember this story. Remember how an army with machine guns lost to a flock of birds. Remember how the birds won, ate the crops, and kept living. And if you ever feel too confident, just picture a soldier chasing an emu and losing. It will make you smile. Because sometimes, the best stories are the ones where the underdog wins. And in this story, the underdog had feathers.